Welcome back to another episode of She Who Remembers. Today I'm here with Mary. Mary is a retreat host, author, psychic Reiki master, and teacher. Her mission is to empower empathetic energy healers through soul-led work, guiding them to become stronger facilitators. Mary works with sensitive souls and healers to deepen their gifts, create strong energetic boundaries, and cultivate a resilient nervous system so they can lead from grounded sensitivity. Mary, thank you so
Beautiful.
much for being here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Antonia. I'm so excited to chat today. See what comes through for the people.
Yes, Mary and I are just going to be really flowing with this. You're our finale, Mary, for a season 2.
Amazing.
Very exciting. Can you tell us a little bit about your lineage and the medicine that you work with?
Yes. So I studied Reiki through the Usui lineage, which is from Japan, from Dr. Usui. And so I like to say that is the foundation. That was my entry point into energy healing. I personally study and teach a very like psychic, intuitive, non-traditional piece of that. And so the way I like to describe it, because Reiki is just one way to work with energy. But essentially, if you go deep enough, it's like there's the Akashic records, there's Reiki, there's Kundalini, there's all of these different types where you're working with energy. And each one I see as like a doorway, right? It's the doorway that calls to you, that calls you in and you answer and you walk through. And it leads you into a hallway, and if you walk the hallway long enough, it brings you into the same place, right? It brings you into the soul archives. It brings you into the collective energy, to the morphic field, and you're essentially working within that field in just whatever modality you entered through, right? And so I entered through Asui Reiki, and I teach really working with the field intuitively, embracing your psychic channels, and really formulating your own method, your unique energy healer blueprint within that.
That's so incredible. So when did you know that you had these abilities to type in at least psychically? Did it start from a young
Mm.
age, or was it kind of when you found this path?
Yeah, so I remember being very intuitive when I was younger, like literally a baby in a crib, feeling energies in this old house that I was born in, feeling energies in the closet. Like there is like
Well,
that memory piece. And then I also, through experiencing some traumas in like elementary school, middle school, and plus when you're in that point of puberty, it's really natural for your intuitive gifts and your psychic channels to actually kind of take a back burner because the body is focusing on gestation, right? It's focusing on like physical growth. And so that takes a lot of energy. And so it's really natural for anyone listening that during those years of puberty, it does kind of take a back burner. And that's also happens to be the time in life that a lot of us face some traumas and face some fears coming up, right? Around maybe being scared of what they saw or felt or heard, right? And so I would say I was there, and I was always very like sensitive and intuitive and needing to try to find some peace and quiet in my own energy in a crazy household of 7 people. Um and then, I have another specific memory seeing a ghost, like a spirit, in like 11th grade, where I was so convinced it was like my little sister. Like I went downstairs and I was like, Genevieve, I was calling your name and you didn't answer. And she's like, I've been watching a movie for 2 hours with mom down here. And I'm like, I just remember getting like a whole like through my body, and I was like, and at that point I didn't know, right? Like I wasn't around anyone. I grew up in a small town in northern Michigan where nobody was talking about this. And it's before social media. It was before, I guess people had like Facebook then, but I grew up in a house without internet. So I didn't know? And so it definitely like scared me a bit. And I was like, whoa, okay. But like, all right, that's chill, I guess. And then found yoga and meditation in college when I went to a bigger town and took yoga class and mythology class. And I was like starting to dabble in this more spiritual realm. And pieces were like clicking in. I was starting to feel safe enough in my body, starting to work with my nervous system to kind of have those places come back online more and more. Um, and, really coming into this, once I experienced my first Reiki session, it was just like, holy fuck, this is crazy. Like, I was so activated. And I know everyone can experience it different. And maybe that first time doesn't feel as activating. But for me, like, there was so much energy activation and moving and physical sensations and memories. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? Because I really didn't know what it was going in.
Mm.
But I was just recommended it and I was like, sure, I'll try it. And I remember receiving a message at my throat chakra and it was just like, Reiki is your path. And I was like, and I
What?
was working as a nurse. Yeah. And I was working as a nurse at the time. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, how would Reiki be my path? Yeah. So there's levels. It's like an onion, right? Like it's like another layer, or something comes in and you're like pieces are connecting, but you
Yeah.
really never know where it's gonna take you.
That's just like profound, living your life as a nurse and in this very corporate job, and then being like, nope, actually, here's where you need to be. You're not going to be a nurse anymore.
Yeah, I was at the point where I was already working in nursing for like 6, 7 years, probably 6 years at the time. And this was at the very beginning of COVID, I believe, like right at the beginning of the pandemic. And I was definitely open to a different path. And I was like, but what? I have student debt still in this. And like, but what? I just studied this for 5 years and like, this is my only skill I've learned and devoted to. And this provides for me financially. Like how, what,
Yeah.
where, what, how would I even leave it? And there was just so much outside pressure. Like nursing is such a trusted profession. It's such a safe profession. My family being very like I was the first kid in my family to graduate college, and
Yeah.
my parents didn't either. And so it's like there was this pressure I put on myself really, right? Of like continuing down that space of being like, I made it.
Well, it's funny because like you were a healer in that, and you still are a healer. It's just in a way that is so supportive to you because you're creating from a place of who you are, like a sensitive soul, and then helping other sensitive souls. Where nursing feels more like a check the box. Here are the things that we need to do, like Western medicine route,
Hmm.
where yours is more like you're tapping into ancient ancestral practices through the Reiki. It's been around for
Yeah, and that really is like there's so much beauty. I'm not gonna like knock on Western medicine because there is a time and a place for everything. I don't know if you can hear my dog barking, but but there's a time and a place for everything, right? Like we emergency room for some certain things,
yeah.
great. But like for me personally, being who I am in that setting, I was very much like the hippie black sheep in Western medicine. I was like, something doesn't feel right kind of from day one, but I wanted to help people, And there is the way that the system is set up, it's very like quick onto the next person, right? Or you're just swamped. And so I was constantly being drained because I wanted to give more of my attention, or I wanted to like really be able to sit down, and there were moments where I got to like really drop in with patients and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm seeing the connection. Your heart condition, right? Your arrhythmia that you're saying is passed down. It just runs in the family. You're in your 30s, but you've been on a medication for your heart arrhythmia since like your 20s, and that it's just familial and that's just the way it is. But yet I'm like, wait, I'm picking up on anxiety. Like, let me help you through breath work. And there was like glimpses where I was able to bring these things that I was becoming more and more aware of into that space, but it's not designed to actually like bring that space in, right? And so it's like, while I'm doing this, I'm way behind over here, and now there's like 3 doctors yelling because everything's emergent. So for me, I was like, I can feel my time here is complete. And there's a more aligned path calling to me.
There's something so much bigger that you know is your mission that you're being guided towards. Yeah, and I think people don't realize that once you get to that point where you're in the emergency room where it has physically manifested, it's something that has been passed down generationally that you need to release and break. But that can be done
Mhm.
through Reiki. So can you explain a little bit of what like a session with you looks like, whether it's virtual or in person, and kind of take us through what someone can expect? Maybe they don't know what Reiki is, and then how
Yeah.
they feel afterwards.
Yeah, amazing. So I do mostly online sessions now, which some people are like, wait, what? Like Reiki works, energy work works wherever you are from across the world, not just in person. And so that's always really cool and fun when I have a client that has never experienced it or where I'm training a practitioner that's like, I'm a little even skeptical. Does this work? And
Yeah.
so just baseline, right? High level Reiki or any type of energy healing is working with with the energy field, right? But it works on the all levels of the body. So we have like the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body, the spiritual energetic body. And so we work with all layers to bring back to homeostasis, bring back to balance. And so when we think about it, our bodies want to work for us, right? They're working so hard all of the time to be in balance. Yet we live in a world with a lot of external stimuli, a lot of different environmental things constantly, coming into our field. And whether that's from like pollution or stress at work or a bad night's sleep or too much caffeine, like there's all of these different things going on. And so naturally we've got to do this like energetic maintenance. And so there's that piece of where energy work is really helpful because everything like we were speaking to of like the physical manifestation, if you're coming in with anxiety or you're coming in with chronic back pain, whatever it may be, that means that the energetic imbalance has been around for a while, whether it is ancestral or it's something manifested from a trauma or something that happened too quick to be fully processed and to close the loop in your body because the body is super smart. So it holds on. And so there is this pathway that I follow in energy work where because if it's already showing like physical symptoms, that means it's existed for a while, right? Because that's the last stage. But before that, there's an emotional imbalance that is stemmed from an energetic imbalance over time. And so we trace it back to heal the root. And, a really simple way to work with that is like working with the chakra system to work with the chakra system, the energy centers of the body, which has been studied for so long, ancient medicine there of the meridians and the chakras, um, and also the nervous system, right? The nervous system is the light body. It is literally where light flows through. And so inside of a session, it's really beautiful co-regulation happening as well. And essentially inside of a session with me, because every healer has a different style, has a different flow. I really like to connect prior, whether it's someone's first time receiving energy healing or they've received a lot or they're a Reiki healer themselves, really giving time to just feel into like what is your intention, what brought you here. And also giving them a bit of what to expect, not just like how I run a session, but also different ways that energy can move for different people, right? And so what's really common inside while you're receiving energy healing, whether it be virtual where you're laying in your own bed, cozy in your space with a candle lit and, eye mask on, or you're in a studio space in person receiving, that it can really come through in different sensations in the body. If we're working in your solar plexus, you might get nausea for a little bit, or you might get chills, or really hot, really cold. Twitches, muscle twitches are another way that energy is releasing out of the body. And for me, I move energy a lot during sessions with burping, with yawning, with breath. And so there's all of these different tools. Our body is very intelligent with moving. And so I always encourage my clients and my students to also encourage their clients to listen to the body, right? We don't have to just like lay like a mummy and not move and be silent for a whole hour. It's like, no, let's work with the body. Like let's listen to that calling to move or breathe, big exhale. And so I'll often just intuitively prompt throughout as well. I practice what I've kind of started to call like a psychic somatic energy work. And so we work with intuitive guidance, me communicating with guides and your spirit team and your body and your energy, just working as that channel. And there's some stuff I write down and we talk about after. There's some stuff I talk about during. There's sometimes I'm called to prompt, different things for maybe them to help with the energy moving or different position, or even just like co-creating the experience as I kind of prompt questions. And it's really beautiful. And it's something I've seen in that shift because it's really been evolving over years of practice, is like when you involve the client, it's so much more empowering. It's not just like it's silent for an hour and you have no idea what's really going on, but you're having your experience. And then afterwards, I tell you all these things. But I've received feedback that it really collapses. Like my transformation is 10x because I'm already integrating and I'm already doing it right in session because their mind is aware of it too. And of course, experiencing guided meditation where it fits inside of session. And then I really prioritize integration time too. So talking about it, hearing from the client what's going on, if they want my shares afterwards, and that's there. And yeah, being available like beyond the session time as well for anything because Reiki works for 21 days within your system. So there's a 3-week period where the energy is still flowing. There might be more coming through in dreams or in journaling or, these aha moments or big emotional releases, which are also common in session or after in that like really vulnerable time where you're
Right?
sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a good cry is always welcome. And yeah, it really I call them like a healing ceremony because it's so much more. There's different ways to lead a session and none of it is wrong, but I truly believe like everybody has their unique healer blueprint, the way that energy wants to flow through them to support who they support, right?
Yeah, and I feel like your approach attracts your clients because it feels like that it is that co-creation. And I think a lot of times people go into a session and they feel like I do need to just sit here and be hands off and let, the teacher do their thing. Whereas you're like, no,
Mhm.
I want you to be involved in this. We're healing this together. And then even the space for the integration after, like a lot of the times practitioners don't offer that or have that. And that's like the most important for any ceremony really is to be able to create the space to have the integration because that's when all the downloads are coming in. That's when you're releasing and it's almost when you need like the most support.
Mhm. Yeah, and depending on their experience, they might be like not feeling like they can share right away, right? In that first like 5 minutes, they might be like, "I don't know, I don't remember anything." But then as you talk, there's like more coming up, right? And also because my sessions tend to go a bit more ethereal, esoteric where it's like we're timeline healing. We're healing the future, we're healing the past, we're healing ancestral, we're healing past life. Like so it's like there's a little bit more. It's not just like, we worked with your back pain, right?
Yeah.
And so there's often like more questions or a little bit more like teaching involved as well. My goal is that they feel empowered in it, not like they need another session tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. Especially I didn't even know that the energy lasts 21 days. So that's so interesting. Like you can't really do it, more than once a month, I feel like, with that kind of integration
You
with work.
definitely Yeah, I think it depends, right? Like you can, there's not like harm in doing it, but if it was like I like to say if it was like a really intense session for you, then yeah, like once a month is great. If you're doing it for like healing a physical injury or something and it's a little less like we're doing like deep lineage work and all of this stuff, big block clearing and there's a lot to shift and integrate in the next few weeks, but it's more so like physical healing. So it kind of depends, right? Of like what the intention was, how deep the session was. But I know there's studies done that for patients, actually post-operative patients, where they receive energy work, I believe it was daily in the study that I'm thinking of, that they actually recovered quicker than those that didn't, and that it actually was like just as supportive as like low grade pain meds, right? And so that's kind of where you'd want to be receiving it like a few times a week if you're like in that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the energy is already moving. Let's just keep it going, like for the
Mhm.
body, whatever ailment's happening.
Yeah, and, like, for me, someone that's Reiki attuned and you do like, I do energy healing, I do Reiki on myself every single day.
I
Like,
was gonna
there's
ask, like, what does your own practice look like? I'm so curious.
Yeah, yeah, so this is where it's really beautiful, and I very much believe like, I know when I took my first yoga teacher training, I was like, "Everybody on earth should take a YTT because this is just, like, shifts so much for your personal experience," right?
Yeah.
And I feel the same about Reiki level 1 because Reiki's taught in 3 levels, sometimes 4, but, 1, 2, and master level, and so that level 1 is very much focused on self-healing, and so level 2 is practitioner. So level 1, I'm like, everybody level 1, let's go. Cause it really just supports this beautiful tool that you have anywhere you go. You can really support your nervous system, you can support your emotions, you can help ground, you can tap into your intuition, you can move energy on your own in that way and even, combine it with breath work or meditation or whatever. And so I do self Reiki, it's part of my daily routine. I wake up and I do it most mornings, and sometimes I'll, while my partner's like he's got a longer evening routine than me, so I'll like get up in bed and I'll do little self Reiki in evenings too before bed if I'm feeling like it, and that can really support sleep, right? Like if you're kind of like still a little wound up from the day, and doing some self Reiki before bed is really beautiful. And then I like to do a full-blown self session once a month on my bleed, so I have it synced up with my moon, and I'll literally light candles, make it a vibe. I'm like, this is as if I were supporting a client, right? Because I think it's fucking crucial. I think like practitioners often stop giving themselves the medicine that they offer, or they like or they do it for like 3 minutes here and there. And then they're like, "I want my channel to be more tapped in a hour-long session." And I'm like, "Well, when's the last time you felt an hour-long session, right? Or you gave yourself an hour-long session." So that's something I always recommend to the apprentices that I work with of, bringing in some sort of, like, longer form self-Reiki. And so I'll do a nice deep dive session once a month with myself as well.
I think there's so much to say about the fact that you're literally advancing your skills and you're advancing your own practice because you're feeling it within your own body, and then you can receive those downloads and then translate that to your clients.
Yes, exactly, and that's what I really speak to with even your psychic channels, like, they're all muscles, just like we go to the gym to work out our physical muscles or strengthen our physical body, there's also the practices and yeah, practices that you can bring in to strengthen your psychic muscles, right? And we all have them. We all have all of these different psychic clairs, and most people are naturally stronger in 2 to 3 or 1 to 3, but we can train for it and get them all nice and strong and open. And for anyone listening, if you are Reiki level 1 and 2 attuned, but you're like, I'm nervous to start offering other people, right? Like there's a lot of times that block to move from self-healing into offering other people's sessions. And so I really recommend like start with just like being really devoted to coming back to your own practice and take notes. When I give that full session to myself, I got my notebook. I'm like, I'm studying, right? Like I'm studying and I'm healing myself. And that is what I call it, like, building your dictionary up with energy, because energy speaks different to me than it does to you, than it does to them, and so the more you start to really, like, take note of how it speaks to you, it might feel different than, like, when you're in a self session versus a client or a stranger versus a friend, right? Like, it's all gonna feel different, but you have more experience to loosen up with and to trust.
Yes, that's such beautiful advice as well for anyone listening. And what would you say to somebody who like maybe has undergone a ton of trauma and they want to be a healer, they want to be a practitioner, but then like, they're moving through this self-healing. What would you say to this person who kind of feels like those blocks and those fears around like, I don't want to project any of my things onto my clients or things of that nature and like overcoming
Yeah.
that?
No, I think that's huge, and I think that's a really common story with, like, my Reiki level 1 and 2 students is like, "Oh, like, 1, am I qualified? Like, am I healed enough to hold space for someone else's space, like, healing," right? And I think 1, just remembering healing is not like this destination point, and you are worthy, and you are completely worthy of that. And to the piece of, like, I don't wanna project my own stuff, I teach a really powerful befriending the ego practice to the energy healers I work with that allows you to not, push away the ego mind. The ego mind is that place of where oftentimes the blocks are, that place of story that exists, that fear. It's trying to keep you in the same place that you've been because that's its job, and like it's here to keep you safe. And so it's important to actually learn to work with it, not against it. Um, and to understand the different voices when you're channeling or meditating, and really get familiar with who's who within you, and come into that place where it's like then we can work with the ego to kind of set her aside and really allow yourself to just be a channel. And there's also, little tricks and tips that I have for tuning in if you are questioning, like, is this mine or is this theirs? And I think the number one thing I would say if someone has that history with bigger trauma that feels like it's blocking them from showing up in the healer role, because it doesn't even have to be like big T trauma, right? Like it can be a comprehensive mini T, small T, whatever it is. I'm not here to tell you what's like a big enough trauma for it to create this story for you, but really coming into befriending the ego and, coming into, like, are you in your body? Because the more we work in the energy realms, the ethereal realms, I always say you need as deep as roots as you can rise. And so we don't want you feeling like you're out of body during or long after sessions. And that would be more of a focus on your own work with your root chakra and your earth star chakra and your nervous system, and that also don't get caught in the perfectionism of like, I'll never be there, right?
So many
Um,
people, that's their thing.
yeah. And to come back to like, why were you called to this in the first place?
Mm,
Like, there's really just remembering why were you called to do this? What supported you? Like, it's probably because energy healing deeply supported you, right? And I guarantee your practitioner was not fucking perfect
yeah,
and still provided a powerful session and enough to where you went and got trained.
absolutely, and I think it's that self-trust too of, like, I've done the work, I've done the self-healing, I've done my level 2, I am ready, and even I think sometimes if you practice on friends or practice on people who you know, love, and trust, like, how did that feel? And you kind of get the confirmation, validation, and communication from spirit or however, their approach is, I feel like
Mhm.
that is massive. We're like, "No, I am ready." And knowing it is that
Yes.
building over time. It's not going to be perfect every single time.
Yes, we need that positive feedback loop for sure to be like, "Okay, I got this. I can surrender my channel." And that is really big. And, inside of my apprenticeship or Reiki 2 training, like I really incorporate practice session and like hands-on practice because that's literally like you need it just to be like, okay, you're attuned now, like go give a session, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like, wait, what? And so definitely like prioritizing for me, I know the importance of prioritizing that, but not only just like inside of the, you know, month long or 6 month long training space, but also to like have that community touch point, right? Like all of the one-on-one apprentices that I work with, I have them in a group chat and they can just shoot off a text in there and be like, anyone want to trade sessions this week? And so because we need that. And I think that is a huge block for people of either they don't have the community, you know, nearby, or they're like, I'm a lone wolf in this town that I live in. Like, how do I get practice in? Or my family thinks I'm weird or, you know, whatever it is, like and so
Reiki.
yeah. Yeah, we gotta find our people, and so I really prioritize that in my spaces of connecting people with other people down to receive and trade and, you know, give each other testimonials and feedback, and in that space of we need that feedback at the beginning especially.
Yes, and I think some people think, "Oh, my community's in my backyard." And, like, yes, it is, but it's such a testament to you and the lifestyle that you're living right now, that community is, like, what you're just building through the network of practitioners and, like, these beautiful souls that are coming to you from anywhere in
Mm.
the world.
Yeah, yeah, for those listening, I live in my van and I've really been nomadic for like 5 years, but I have been in van life for like 3. And yeah, that's where I know social media can get a bad rep and there's boundaries and there's things we need with that. But I think a huge, huge blessing and not one to be overlooked is like this international community that you really do have. Like there's so many soul sisters and soulmate clients and people that I've ended up meeting in person, which is so cool too. Like I have lots of students and clients that I'm like, hey, I know you're in Florida. Like now I'm in Florida. Where do you live? Let's meet up. And so I've gotten to meet a lot of people in person that way. And it's just like spirit places me in places where they are in the flesh too. And I think there's also like remembering that it's always such a gift when you can make take that leap and invest in an in-person experience as well, like a retreat or, you know, an immersion that brings you in-person gatherings as well as much as possible, and that may not be in your hometown or that may not be in your home state. I think the internet, social media is such a beautiful place to connect, and there also is this, like, hunger for people to meet in person again, which is so beautiful and needed.
Yes, so Bali.
Yes, yes, yes. So, gosh, what is the date? It's almost 2 months away, but, I'm co-hosting a retreat in Bali, which begins May 24th this year, and it's led by Coherence Retreats, which is just, like, an amazing world-class, retreat company, and they have been leading women's retreats for years, and Bali is a special place in my heart because that's actually where I received my Reiki 1 attunement and my YTT years back when I was, like, solo traveling on this big dark night of the soul, like and so I'm returning now leading a retreat and going with, my beautiful I've done day retreats with her and mushroom ceremony retreats and embodied poetry workshops and membership together, but Lexi Rodriguez. She is amazing. She's based in San Diego, and so we're gonna be co-hosting. And there's literally 1 spot left as of today. So if you hear it now, check it out. But it's an all women's retreat, and the theme is returning to the temple, which is just so perfect for the place. Like what I really love about Coherence is that it is a place where they're like, yes, gather, go internal, slow down and do what you need to do for yourself and do that inner work. And they equally prioritize play, travel, connection,
Mhm.
joy, And that is such a needed, like, play is one of the best ways to integrate, right? Like, we get out of the thinking mind, like, put down the fucking journal eventually and, like, just go, like, ice skate or go play in a river. And so that is, like, where it's like, "Oh, right, like, we're doing this to, like, have more joy in our day." And so it's a really beautiful balance of that inside, and we're also at, like, an epic retreat center where there's massages and cold plunge and sauna and an infinity pool over the river, and so it's
Oh
gonna be good.
my goodness. And you'll be doing Reiki there?
Yes. There's many different workshops. There's, like, a mix of what Lexi and I are leading, like a, Reiki-infused breathwork journey, and so
Mhm.
we'll be going into that. I'll be offering some Reiki with a yoga nidra class. We're gonna be doing our, like, signature poetic therapy type workshop, and Lexi does amazing, like, somatic breathwork, Pilates, and so
Oh,
we really, like, but I infuse energy work into almost everything I do, and, yeah, and then there's also more, like, immersing in the Balinese culture, so there's, a Balinese water blessing, there's a fire ceremony led by a Balinese priest, we're also, like, meditating with monks, so it's, like, incredible.
it's gonna be magical.
Yes, so
Well, and this
excited.
life will change. And it is
Yeah,
so
it's
symbolic. Your return to what?
Mhm. Yeah, and this is, like, how crazy it was when I got the invitation to co-host this. I was on Instagram, and I just saw someone liked a post of mine from years back. It was a Bali post, and I literally had that pop up on my phone, and I was like, "I need to go back to Bali." 5 minutes later, Lexi messaged me, and she was like, "Do you wanna Coherence approved it. Do you wanna co-host in Bali with me in May?" And I was like, "Okay, spirit, thank you."
And that's your manifestor over here.
It happens quick sometimes, you know?
Do you wanna dive into your dark night of the soul experience at all?
Ooh, do we have time? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, I'll share briefly. This was in the beginning of my Saturn return,
Oh
and
boy.
of course, right? Um, I at the time was really coming into a place of, like, inquiry. I was like, I can't actually see myself in nursing for 10 more years. Like, what does that mean? What would I do? I was also in a relationship with someone for like 6 years, and I was feeling very stagnant. And, we had bought a house together, and it was like, ooh, I was like, shit, this is in alignment. And I think for myself, what really solidified that, because, my body knew, right? Like
Right?
there was a lot of signs there, but it took a while for me to really be in the truth of that. And there's always that question of, like, I've gone so deep, like, it's gonna be so much to, like, back up, right? And, yeah, we owned a house together, we had all our community together, and so it's just so intertwined. And I had been with him since I was 21, and so it was like, "Ooh, who am I?" But I was moving in one direction, and he wasn't really wanting to go that way with me, right? And, as I was going deeper into my healing journey, I also had finally spoken about my big trauma that did shut me down and bring me out of my body into dissociation for a long time. I went into therapy, and um was really just at this point of, like, okay, yoga's not gonna, like, fix it all, right? Like, there's clearly something here, and I know what it is, but, like, whew, it was, for me, I experienced sexual abuse when I was in my early teens, and I didn't speak of it until the mid-20s, and so there was a huge shift. And, I think the final piece of being like, I need to leave this relationship for myself, is that there was an initial supporting from them, but as I was going deeper into what that really looks like to heal that and share about it, it was like, "Oh, he actually doesn't have the capacity to hold space for me. He doesn't have the capacity to like meet me there. And there was a lot of more like avoidance or change the topic or like surface level responses. And I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta
Yeah.
go. I'm having like, I was also finding community that was so much more aligned. And I'm like, I'm having deeper conversations with these like people I met 2 weeks ago than this person I've been with for 6 years. And I'm not gonna drag him along. He's on his own path and his own timing. So I left. I left everything. I took my dog and I started travel nursing. And in that like year and a half of travel nursing, I did a lot of solo time. I lived alone. Road tripped all like from the West Coast to the East Coast, from the East Coast to the West Coast. I went back to my hometown for the first time in many years. And like there was so much soul retrieval and so much like time with myself and where I was really building self-trust and trust of the world again and finding community wherever I went by just like doing what I wanted, doing what I was called to. And yeah, eventually that led me to Bali in between nursing assignments. And Bali shifted me into like seven timelines over up, if you will. And I remember being there and I'm like, I want to teach like yoga and I want to teach Reiki and I want to do all these things. But like there was a lot of identity work to do. There was a lot of still like leaving nursing. This was when I started writing poetry again. All of these pieces of me were coming back in.
Whoa. Thank you so much for sharing. Seriously, thank you for sharing all of that. It's
It's like
beautiful
how
because
to condense like 3 years into 3 minutes.
whoa. Yeah, and there's so much to say too for being in a relationship that the body does always know, but you still love that person. And so it's like change is never easy, always uncomfortable. Like you knew what was best for you, your higher self, and like what you deserved, honestly, and the support that you needed. And then finding that, having that mirrored back to you in your own community, people that you recently met. It's like spirit's like, no, this way, you can do it. We're gonna support
Mhm.
you, hold you through this.
Yeah. Yeah, and in that moment before I left and really, like, blew up my life and changed was when I received Reiki for the first time, and I received a few sessions and brought so much clarity, brought so much inner safety that I was like, yeah, I'll be okay," like, I'll be okay, and also starting to heal that voice in me that was like, I'm so broken and fucked up and I have so much baggage. Like, who else would love me? Like in the darkest moments, that's what was coming in. And so there is so much connection to the heart, connection to truth, connection to the collective energy, the oneness through those energy healing sessions. And bless like the woman that was my Reiki practitioner. She's one of my best friends now. We stayed in touch. We've co-created together and I love her. Shout out Michaela Sullivan. So I was drawn to her for a reason and yeah, she really supported me in that period as well.
There are no accidents in the journey, and it's listening to that inner compass, that intuition, just even though you don't know necessarily what's flowing on the other side, just continuously following the path and letting things open up as you get to the next stage of things. There's a lot of surrender.
Exactly.
It's beautiful.
The surrender experiment.
Yeah. And Saturn return, I just got into mine like a month ago, so it's been it's been a journey.
Yeah, sending you love. And honestly, though, I will say this for anyone listening that is entering their Saturn return and now a little scared of it because of what, no. Um,
It's
honestly,
scary.
I have so much respect. And there's a little piece of me that's like, I kind of miss my Saturn return. But like, I have so much like love and respect for that time. And I got extra Saturn return because it's in my 20th degree. Is that the right way? I'm not an astrologist, but the readings that I've had, it's like in my 29th degree. And so I actually had like an extra, I think like year and a half where I thought For a moment,
Mhm.
I thought I was done, and then I had a reading, they're like, "Oh, girl, no, you're actually still in it." So, I had an extra, like, year and a half, I believe, like, I just closed out when it switched over, but, like, a couple months ago, and, I will say the less you resist, the more open you are to just being with the lesson of, like, this is all lessons. I am learning, I am growing. This is here for my evolution. This is an opportunity to, show up differently this time around the spiral for whatever house it's in. It's going to be different, probably, of like what's coming up for you a lot. And it's probably going to shift a lot, but also the more you listen and the more you're quick to try a new way, whatever that means, the less suffering in it.
Hopefully.
It's like the tension and the doubt and all. It's like if you think about it, and like when you're in luteal, right? And there's this tension and there's this resistance and there's like nothing's working out. Why is everything feeling hard? And when you can remember that, is there even like 2% truth to this? Not to continue to speak from wounds, but to like speak for the wound and to
Mm,
admit the even tiniest bits of truth within the really hard lessons and shine some light on that. Alchemize that.
we
And
all are the perpetrator in some way, no matter what. There is something that, yeah, got you into that situation, but to realize it's happening for me, not to me, and taking the ego out
mhm,
of that in a way of like, "No, this is for my highest. I'm learning a really massive lesson here." So,
mhm.
yeah. Oh my gosh, this has been so amazing. Thank you for all of your amazing advice and your wisdom and just sharing your journey. I want to close out on how people can connect with you in different containers that you have available that people can join. And I know you have a book if you want to talk about your book and how people can buy it. Just any ways that people can connect with
Thank you, love.
you.
Yeah, I mean, just to touch on that dark night of the soul of coming back to myself, coming home to myself is really the poetry that a lot was written in that time. And not to say it's like, ooh, all that way, right? It's a beautiful transition, but it's called If a Lotus Flower Could Talk, and it's available on Amazon. You can find it in the link in my bio as well on Instagram at Mary Feister. And it's a beautiful poetry book for anyone just looking to, yeah, come back and see yourself in any bits of these poems in this transition. Lotus flower rises from the mud and then is this really beautiful flower and piece of nature and piece of earth here. So yeah, there is that poetry book out and available. Besides that, I teach all levels of Reiki, and so my psychic Reiki level 1 and channeling, it's unique in the way that I don't just teach Reiki, I also teach the psychic piece and the channeling piece. And so, like I said earlier, that is very much like self-healing, prereq for practitioner level, and foundational work. And so I actually have a class that is virtual coming up April 19th. So that is this month. Happy April. And there's still space as of now in that. I do my classes live, not pre-recorded. I keep class size intimate and it opens up a 21-day container, guided support through that. And my intuitive Reiki level 2 training is going to be like late summer, but you can sign up now for that as well. So reach out to me if you're interested in practitioner level where you really want to come into actually like, okay, how do I hold a session? How do I really hone in on this space holding skills and get a lot of hands-on experience. And then I have a Reiki master retreat and training actually coming up in April 30th. And so this is a really intimate group that's hybrid, and we actually have an in-person retreat that starts April 30th. So there's a 4-day in-person retreat in northern Arizona. So for those that are Reiki 1 and 2 attuned, then there's 2 spaces
Ooh.
left. Yeah, so anyone that is Reiki 1 into attuned, whether it's from me or another teacher, that is open. And so it starts off with a 4-day in-person retreat where it's really beautiful retreat style. There's a sauna. It's on a homestead in northern Arizona. Fresh
Exciting.
food and some movement, and really we go into teaching on the teacher level and the master level of Reiki. So we really dive deep into embodied leadership and yeah, how to actually attune and teach others with this sacred healing modality. And that opens up a week long online support afterwards as well. And something that I haven't spoken to too much yet, but this summer, I am going to be offering my Earth and Ether Energy Healer Apprenticeship. I'm bringing it into a group space. So this is going to be an energy healing academy coming out real soon, and where
So
I have
exciting.
been working. Yeah, I'm super excited. It's like I received the message a year and a half ago to do this, and then I have been working with one-on-one apprentices the last like year and a half, and so many beautiful like healers coming through that space where we really get to fully hone not just like their craft, but their unique energy healer blueprint, what they're designed to offer in the healing space, and how that is like theirs, but also um business foundations, and really like full circle to be sought after healer that knows what they are here to do, knows how to speak to their offerings, knows how to really own that part of themselves. And yeah, so that is coming soon.
I have yet to see a container like that, and through all of this work and through all of like, the community that I've touched. So it's just so incredible that you offer that.